In this part of SixDOF tutorial, we are going to take a look at Autopilot functionality. So SixDOF has actually two Autopilot systems, separate for rotation and translation, in other words, movement. So let's start with rotation. You activate the system by enabling look at, and now you have options of what to use as a target. So you can either use direction vector. That means you are going to use this look at vector, and it's going to be relative to the ship. So if I set it to, let's say, 001 and start the game, the ship will look directly up. But if I change it to location vector, this is going to use the same input vector as a world space location. So say I set it to 0, and now my ship is going to constantly rotate towards center of the map, like this. And the final mode is use controller input. Now this will not use this look at vector. This is going to use the controller input. In other words, it's going to be similar to how you rotate, let's say, default Unreal characters. So something like let's say add controller your input, and it's gonna follow this input. Rotation Autopilot also has damping, so this is useful if you have let's say some physics settings that takes a long time to stop rotation naturally, or even if you have, let's say, frictionless physics, then the dampings will be able to stop it by applying opposite inputs. And finally, for rotation, we have auto level. This will, of course, try to rotate ship in a way that it's level with this up vector. By default, it's straight up, but you can of course change it to be, let's say, parallel to some different gravity in your level or anything else. So it's also straightforward. You just turn it on, and say you rotate upside down, and it's gonna auto level. For each of these modes, you can of course set sensitivity separate for each axis. And for auto level, this is a little bit different in that by default pitch and yaw are disabled. However, you can set sensitivity for those, and as you can see here, if I turn on pitch auto leveling, in addition to rolling to level, it will also try to maintain zero pitch. And one more thing that's disabled by default is look at sensitivity roll. When you enable this, the ship will tilt in turns. So say I enable this, and as you can see here, it's gonna tilt towards the target vector. This is of course also usable in combination with with auto level. Next, we have the translation autopilot. It works more or less the same. Just enable it. You have same options for mode as with rotation, and say you set it to location vector 0, 0, say 500, and you run the game. As you can see, it will attempt to go towards the target. And as you've just seen, by default it's very quick to change inputs, so it's a good idea to lower its sensitivity and to enable damping. And as you can see now, it's a little bit better behaved. When you have move to mode set to use controller input, once again this works same as default character controller, so it would be controlled via add movement input. Again, exactly the same as default. And that's basically it as far as autopilot goes. Just one more note regards to multiplayer. When you change this value in multiplayer game, please look at the vector function, because if it's updated with this, it's automatically replicated in multiplayer. And for translation, you also have similar function, and it's set move to vector. And of course, you have also auto level up vector.